All right, let's dive into a masterpiece that's, believe it or not, about 700 years old but feels incredibly relevant today. We're talking about Giovanni Boccaccio's The Decameron. Now, this is a story all about how to survive a crisis. But here's the twist. The weapon of choice isn't what you'd expect. It's not medicine, it's not force, it's storytelling. So how does that work? Let's get into it.
Okay, so picture this. It's Florence, 1348, and the world is basically ending. The Black Death is just ripping through the city. And this isn't just a disease we're talking about. It's something that completely shatters society. It brings this incredible fear, absolute chaos, and death on a scale that's, well, it's apocalyptic.
So all of this devastation, it forces you to ask a really fundamental question. A question that we still ask today. When everything you know just collapses, when it feels like despair is absolutely everywhere, how do you stay human? And that's exactly what Boccaccio is digging into with this work.
So how do you respond to all that chaos? Well, a small group of people came up with a plan that was pretty brilliant, actually. They decided they weren't just going to sit around and wait for the end. No, they were going to create their own world, their own sense of order, using the power of stories.
So who were these people? Well, it was a group of 10 young, pretty well-off folks from Florence, 7 women and 3 men. And they do what a lot of people were doing at the time. They get out of the city. But their escape, it was more than just physical. They were trying to escape psychologically too. They find this secluded villa out in the countryside to hide out.
And this is where their plan gets really clever. To keep the darkness at bay and just give their days some kind of structure, they make a deal, a pact. They basically decide to create their own little society with its own rules. Every day, one person is chosen to be the king or queen, and that person picks a theme for the day. And then, everyone has to tell a story on that theme. It's a really simple, elegant framework, right? For 10 days, this group of 10 creates this completely self-contained world, all built around this daily ritual of being creative and, just connecting with each other.
And what do you get? 100 stories. And these stories are the absolute heart of the Decameron. You have to understand, each one of these tales is like a small act of defiance. It's their way of saying yes to life, to pleasure, to being human, all while death is literally knocking at the door.
Okay, so what are these 100 tales actually about? You might think they'd be all doom and gloom, right? Reflecting the horror they just escaped? Nope, not even close. These stories are vibrant, they're sprawling, and honestly, a lot of them are hilarious. They're a portrait of humanity in all its messy, wonderful glory.
The themes cover everything the plague was trying to wipe out. You've got these amazing stories about clever servants totally outsmarting their rich masters. You have tales of passionate love and very real desire. And you get these sharp, witty takedowns of religious hypocrites and all the silly social pretensions. It's the whole spectrum of real life.
And this really gets at a major shift that was happening. See, Boccaccio wasn't trying to write about perfect, saintly heroes, not at all. His characters, they feel so real because they are real. They're driven by earthly passions, they use their brains to get what they want, and yeah, they're often pretty flawed. In other words, they're just human.
And Boccaccio, wow, he had a sharp eye for satire. He just loved calling out the hypocrisy of people in power. The priests and monks who are all about virtue in public, but behind closed doors are driven by greed and lust. Or the nobles who act all high and mighty but are actually pretty easy to fool. The stories are constantly poking fun at that gap between who we pretend to be and who we really are.
So you can see why this book is way more than just a collection of entertaining and, sometimes scandalous stories. It actually represents this huge cultural shift, a totally new way of looking at the world and our place in it.
And this slide really nails that shift. The book marks this move away from that very rigid, God-focused medieval way of thinking and toward what we now call Renaissance humanism. The focus isn't on abstract ideals and virtue anymore. It's on the messy, complicated, vibrant reality of being human. It's a more secular view where things like being clever or having desires aren't seen as sins, but just as natural, powerful parts of who we are. You see this shift so clearly in how the women are portrayed. It feels shockingly modern. The 7 women in the group, they are not just sitting around listening quietly. Oh no! They are sharp, they're witty, they're storytellers, they're decision makers, they talk openly about love and freedom, they have their own agency, and they are constantly pushing back against the restrictive rules of their time. It's amazing. So let's pull it all together. What's the big takeaway here? Why did Boccaccio put all these wild, funny human stories inside this incredibly dark frame of the plague?
Well, the answer is all about the power of narrative itself, why we tell stories in the first place.
And this is so important. The storytellers, they're not in denial. They aren't ignoring the plague. They looked that reality right in the face. Their storytelling is their resistance. It's their way of saying, look, we can't control this disease, but we absolutely can control how we respond to it. We can create our own meaning, our own order, our own connection, even when the world outside is falling apart.
You know, what they do is basically a masterclass in resilience. It's a simple, powerful model. Step 1, confront reality. Get out of the city. Step 2, create your own order. Make a pact, tell stories every day. And step 3, affirm your humanity. Use that new structure to celebrate creativity, to laugh, and to connect with each other.
And that's really the beautiful, timeless message of the Decameron, isn't it? That when you're facing a massive crisis, things like telling a story or sharing a laugh, they're not just silly distractions. They are quiet, but incredibly powerful acts of resistance. It's literally how we keep going. It's how we survive.
So Boccaccio leaves us with a question that's just as powerful today as it was back in 1348. When the world around you feels chaotic, when things are uncertain, what story are you going to tell?